Welcome to Advent Devotions at Lansing United Methodist Church. This season, we'll be reading from a daily devotional for the Christmas season. It's by Kate Bowler, and it's Bless the Advent We Actually Have. So this is day 7 of Advent. The best medicine. Ruth, chapter 1, verse 3 through 14. Message, a paraphrase. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and Naomi was left, she and her 2 sons. The sons took Moabite wives. The name of the first was Orpah, the second Ruth. They lived there in Moab for the next 10 years. But then the 2 brothers, Mahlon and Chilion, died. Now the woman was left without either her young men or her husband. One day, she got herself together, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, to leave the country of Moab and set out for home, Bethlehem. After a short while on the road, Naomi told her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, go home and live with your mothers, and may God treat you as graciously as you treated your deceased husbands and me. May God give each of you a new home and a new husband." She kissed them, and they cried openly. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth embraced her and held on.
The Hebrew word to describe the love, embrace, and commitment of Ruth and Naomi is hesed, which can be translated as mercy, compassion, love, grace, and faithfulness. But none of these completely capture the emotion or feeling of this word. Hesed describes a sense of love and loyalty, of taking action on behalf of someone who is in need. In this story, Naomi rejoices in the hesed of the Lord because of Ruth's loyalty, commitment, and faithful action. Ruth and Naomi's friendship and relationship crossed ethnic and national boundaries. Ruth was an Israelite, and Naomi was a Moabite. Yes, their faithful relationship is an example of God's covenant, God's hesed to all the people, no matter where you come from. God works through Ruth and Naomi's relationship, and in doing so, it changes the world. And if you skip ahead to Matthew chapter 1, verse 5, Ruth is listed in the genealogy of Christ. Spoiler alert.
This devotion is offered by Kate Bowler. I always say that I don't have hobbies. I have friends. Who needs to learn to knit? I have terrible grip strength. When you can do something ridiculous with someone who loves you. Hope comes in many shapes and sizes, but hope, for me, often comes in the shape of my people. People who embody the very promises and presence of God. In the book of Ruth, we meet a woman whose life has come undone. She has lost her husband, her sons, her home, her security, and her future. Naomi has experienced profound grief, a change she marks by renaming herself Mara, meaning bitter, and declaring that her life and arms are empty. Ruth chapter 1, 19 through 21. In her grief, Naomi, Mara, tries to push everyone away, but her daughter-in-law Ruth doesn't leave her to believe that great lie that loss loves to whisper to us, "You are all alone." Ruth stays. Ruth embraces Ruth embraces her despite her despair.
Name it what you will, your besties, your book club, your coworkers, your siblings, your mom. These are the people who cling to you even as you declare, like Naomi, that your life is empty. Ruth chapter 1, verses 20 and 21. In God's faithfulness to us, we learn to be faithful to others, even in the worst of times. As faithful friendships are the people who show up with a casserole and know when you couldn't possibly eat another bite of lasagna, and a hug, and maybe a bottle of wine or ice cream on your most difficult days. These are the people that know that they may not be able to fix what is happening or what has happened to you, but they can and will bear witness. These friends will believe, even when you can't, that the sun will rise again. And in that kind of hold your hand through the worst of it love, may we find hope.
And for reflection or discussion with friends or to journal on your own, Kate Bowler offers these questions. If you were to rename yourself based on this season of your life, what name would you choose? Why?
How have people shown up for you when you are struggling?
How did that comfort bring you a glimpse of hope? How can you be that hope for others?
Yes, and Kate suggests to share more than joy and good cheer this Christmas season. How can your actions, presence, or gifts be an act of hope to someone who needs it? Could you sing a silly Christmas carol, provide a Christmas meal, write a letter to someone who lives in isolation? Think of how you will act in hope this week.
Paul Zach sings about how our salvation is bound up together in this beautiful song, also on our Advent playlist. Listen while reflecting on the friendship of Ruth and Naomi. It's 3 minutes. There's a QR code if you're following along on a paper hard copy. And also there's one for those who are streaming at LUMC, Lansing United.
Okay, and Kate offers for today to read this blessing from her book, From the Lives We Actually Have. For friends who hold us up. God, when I am no longer quite so tall and strong, give me those who hold me up and remind me of who I am and that I am loved. Amen.
Amen.